Good evening and welcome to the Buckland Select Board's meeting of Tuesday, December 10th. It is 5:30. We have a couple of appointments tonight. Our first 5:30 appointment is Harvey Shackman from the Buckland Energy Committee. Harvey is researching grant opportunities to add municipal solar on the highway garage and is here to ask for the board's input on that proposal. Harvey?
Yeah. Am I speaking the mic?
Yep. Yeah. So that microphone's tied in with the camera, so
Okay.
people at home can hear you.
Yeah, so as you heard, I'm on the Energy Committee, and we're always looking for new ways to save the town money, save the residents money, and to be wiser in their use of electricity. So anyway, it occurred to me that the town spend just under $14,000 a year just to the electricity just for this building, you know. And now that we have the town garage roof available, and there's acres of roof there. I thought it was possible and practical to put up solar panels on the garage roof. You know, there's no shade; it's full exposure stuff. And you plug it into the system, and it directs the power to this meter for this building. Okay. So again, $14,000 a year, and there's something called the Inflation Reduction Act. I think it was a binded program. I'm not sure. And what that allows is a 30% cash rebate. Any kind of just grants available that would pay for the that would pay for the installation of those panels. But this installers, and I realized that was a waste of my time, because it's going to have to be put out to bids, and it's going to be any kind of an appraisal, not an appraisal, but a bill would be paid, has to be publicly posted, right? Yeah, so I stopped my research on the cost of this. What I really came was for your opinion and hopefully encouragement that the committee proceeds looking into this project. And at the point where we have it together, and we haven't taken a vote on it as a committee yet, you know. This is the preliminary kind of reaching out of me. So I want to know if you're interested, and should we go ahead with this thing?
I mean, I know personally I would be certainly interested in bringing solar to the highway garage and getting that installed on the roof.
If you wouldn't mind, speak up a little.
Yep.
I always forget to wear my hearing aids.
So I would be very interested in looking into.
When you say I, do you mean the committee?
Me personally. I mean, the two of them will get a chance to speak on the matter as well. But me personally, I would have a great interest on getting more solar put in. We did just do a project that we were able to get grant funding for down in the sewer treatment plant, which just about cut our bill in, almost in half.
Yeah. And I don't have sorry for interrupting. I don't have the numbers, but I think the Mohawk Trail, I know that's not, it's sort of a separate.
Right.
But I imagine that the return on that is going to be terrific.
I think it will.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely it's a very good, viable option. The issue that we see from the town's perspective is having the money to do so. So that's why, I mean, if we can find a grant out there, I mean, we'd be all for it.
Good luck. I didn't find any grants, and
Yeah.
Heather's been hunting.
Well,
She hasn't seen anything.
but, and that's
But
why
this 30% is significant.
30% is significant.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the amount of solar that we'd have to do for that building would be almost double of what was put on the Buckland Rec. And that, I believe we did, what, $50,000 worth? And that was only like 10 or 12 panels.
Yeah.
So you'd be talking, you'd
10 or 12 panels cost 50,000?
yeah,
Whoa.
solar's not cheap.
Whoa. I'm glad I put it up on my house when I
But
did.
but this is why, but we'd have to be looking at the commercial side of it,
Right.
not the residential.
What do you mean?
There's a different cost. We don't get the residential prices for
Oh.
solar panels. Everything we
Well,
have to pay
if you
is,
reduce the cost by 30%, that's significant.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. But, you're still talking, if it were to cost the town $200,000, we're only getting 60,000 of that back, so the town would still have to pony up $140,000.
Yeah.
We don't have $140,000 to be able to put into solar panels. So that's why hasn't been done yet.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, if it was a viable option for the town to actually purchase it, but, I mean, we have many other things in town that, because we would have to figure out where we're taking that money away from.
Yeah.
So,
So anyway, to cut it short, how do we proceed from here? Now that you know what we're suggesting, what do
I
you?
mean, you can certainly look into the solar option, and, you can,
What do you
you can look into getting prices on the solar
Wait,
system.
but I thought I had to go out to bid.
But in order for us to have you can't just go out to bid, you have to have money that, already
Right.
dedicated to this project.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea,
Yeah.
but you just can't go out to bid it, when if we don't have the money, it's kind of a waste of time, So we need to have an estimate of what this would cost.
Yeah, so more than a waste of time, it's actually illegal. You can't advertise a bid without having an appropriation.
Correct.
Right.
But let me sort of help maybe sort through this a little bit. So one of the things that would be helpful, and not a waste of time, is if the Energy Committee or yourself, representing the Energy Committee, did get a quote from a solar installer that does commercial work, because that would give me an approximate value of what it would cost, right?
Yeah.
To put a appropriate size. And one of the things that we did at the rec is we actually asked for two quotes. One quote that would fully support the town's need, and then another quote that would support, say, just the highway garage or just the town hall. And I think that would be something that the Energy Committee could discuss and take some initiative. I know you and I have already worked on getting the dollar amount of what we're spending here in the town hall every year. We could do that same analysis for the highway garage, and then the Energy Committee could look and see which second quote you would ask for. So one quote that meets all of our need, and then another quote that would meet one of the building's needs. And then that gives the board and myself a cost, a price point. We can certainly talk to the select board, and when the finance committee and the select board are going through the budget process, they would have that information, and depending on what that cost is, they could put a separate article on the town meeting warrant that asked voters whether they wanted to invest over and above. Clint and the board is correct. We don't have money in our existing appropriation, or even our existing capital forecasting document to include this project at this time. But you are right, there are other options, but that would be up to the select board and the finance committee to decide whether they wanted to ask the voters to approve it over and above what we already spend on our budget. So it would be what they call a debt exclusion article, which means you would appropriate the money over and above your usual appropriation, and then when that debt is paid off, that comes off your tax rate. We could go into much more detail about that another time.
We'll talk on this again, okay?
But I think that the short answer, and maybe the first step, is to look at contacting a solar company. Don't look at it as a waste of time. Look at it as giving the board a place to start looking at whether or not that dollar amount is feasible, and how do we work it into our longer-term plans.
But in order for it to have any basis, I'd have to do more than one.
Well, so that's where the procurement process comes in. So once the board and the finance committee met and decided that they wanted to move forward, and we went to town meeting and we received the appropriation based on and yes, it would be lovely to have more than one quote, but it's not necessary at that point, because that's when you go out to bid. That's when you write your bid specs. And you would probably use some of the material that was in your original quote. And that's where the pricing really sort of starts getting more specific. And that's where you get the three quote, however many people bid on that project.
Okay.
So we can definitely talk more offline about that, but if the board wants the Energy Committee to go to that next step, that's up to them. But that would be my recommendation, or my thought process on how to move this project forward.
So you want a ballpark
Yeah,
number?
I wasn't here when that highway garage facility was designed. I was here for construction, but I wasn't here for design. And I know that eventual solar on that roof was something that people were eyeing. It was one of the reasons of that particular
I thought
design.
that was approved, solar for the garage, Bills. No?
For the where?
For the whole highway garage activity or their budget. I thought they're getting panels. No?
The highway garage?
Yeah. The highway department.
I thought that's what we were talking about, was getting panels. Did I
I'm
miss?
just talking about, I think that the roof is large enough and shade-free, so it would be, in my sense, ideal for the mounting of panels on the roof there, and what it generates gets directed, in this case, to the town hall bill.
So, there are no panels on there now, and there are no plans to put panels
Well,
on
I
there.
thought that was approved. No.
I don't believe so.
So
I think when they designed it to where down the road,
Oh.
it would be able to support panels.
So right now, the rec and the sewage
Yep,
are the only ones that are solar powered, right?
correct.
And then Mohawk, but that's,
I
Yes.
think, are they all the same company that did that, Heather?
No,
No?
no.
Okay, because I was gonna say they'd be placed for Harvard to start by
so
contacting
that went
them.
out to bid, right?
Yes,
For the rec?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
Have
basically,
much interest?
Harvey,
we did.
One second. Did you have many installers make bids?
I don't have those bid documents in front of me. That was all handled through the rec department,
oh,
but
oh.
I could find that information out for you.
Okay.
so what you would have to do first, okay?
Yeah.
Is that if your committee wants to look further into this, then you would have to get a rough estimate
Yeah.
on what it would cost.
Yeah.
And you would have to present that to the board. Okay, that way now we can take that rough.
Except when it goes out for bid, it's different.
We're not there yet, okay?
No, but
you're-
how can you rely on just one bidder?
You're not.
To ma, well,
This is, no, okay?
Oh.
Listen, all right? So we need to have rough numbers to know what the ballpark is
Yeah,
for us to even consider doing this.
yeah.
Okay? Putting it out to bid doesn't come until after we have money secured, because we actually have to have money
How do you,
to pay for the project before we can put it out to bid. But we need to know about how much it's gonna cost to do said project so we can put it out to bid.
but if you only get like one,
We're not. You guys as the energy committee,
how can you trust that one installer's number?
Well, what happens when it goes out to bid, if,
No, this is before
I
bid.
know, but if we use that amount of money and the bids come in and it doesn't match it, then we have to reconsider, you know?
right,
Oh.
And also, it might be nice to know how much electricity the highway garage uses too.
So what?
How much energy the highway garage uses. You have the
Yeah,
14,000.
Heather has access to all of that.
I mean, at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter because it's all one bill.
No.
Well, I mean, the town pays the electricity bill.
Right.
So whether we're paying it off of
Right.
that and getting a credit, you know, at the end of the day,
So how about,
whatever that generates.
how about we simplify this? Heather is going to contact Select Energy, who did the installation at the wastewater treatment facility, and ask them to provide the town with a quote with two quotes. One for panels on the garage that would offset the garage electricity, and then if there's sufficient room on the garage that could also incorporate some of the town hall's energy usage, and ask them for two diagnostics, two sets of specs. I got this. Energy committee I'm gonna bring it back to the energy committee and we can discuss it more at your next meeting,
Okay,
okay?
good.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're in favor, I'm in favor of
Yeah.
you looking
All
into
right,
this
so,
hard.
I mean,
It's a
that's
great
essentially
idea.
what I came,
Right.
It's a great idea.
whether we should proceed, that,
Right.
you know.
No,
But that's what I'm saying, is we need a ballpark to be able to go on. We can't just go to the town and say, hey, so we
Right,
need
so
money.
I'll talk to Heather
There-
and figure out
yeah.
how to do that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well-
good, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
All
you.
right,
Got
thanks,
enough?
Harvey.
Appreciate it.
We have their blessing.
yeah.
Yes.
Great
Yes.
idea.
We have their
Oh,
blessing.
yes.
that's what I came for, blessings.
Right time of year.
All right, thank you. Have a good holiday, everybody.
You too,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Harvey.
Blessing, yes. Funding, we'll see.
We did just sell a police station.
Well, easy, Joan.
This is so subject. Be careful, big lady.
All right. Well, and that rolls us into our 5:45. We have our town clerk, Alicia Graves, here. Alicia is seeking the board's blessing to install a localized security camera system for the entrances of the town hall. Good evening.
Hello, how are you? So I gave you a little bit of an idea cost-wise, and also sort of an idea, roughly, obviously, of what I sort of had in mind. And wanted to get your feedback, what your thoughts were on the project. As this spreadsheet shows, I should have the project covered, and if, obviously, you know, you run into costs that maybe you don't expect, it can be scaled down to still fit within this budget. So my thought process was having some added security, having an idea of who is in the building. Not that I'm the only one that's here by themselves at times, but sometimes I'm here earlier. After elections, I'm here by myself at, 11 o'clock, 12 at night. I want to have an idea of what else is going on. Also, just sort of the day-to-day. These cameras would not be shown into offices, although there's always options of blacking out office space and having it show at nighttime and things like that. But for the sake of what I was thinking, it's more showing the entrances so that we have an idea of who's coming and going, having one up upstairs so that if we're all downstairs and we hear footsteps, above our offices, we can see who's in there if we had no idea that someone was supposed to be up there. If there's
Then
a
you're gonna be freaked
situation.
out when you know that there's nobody on camera, but you're hearing the
Well,
footsteps
then we
up
all
there.
leave. So it's just so that we have a better idea of what's going on. Not that I don't think that we are somewhat sheltered from some of the problems other places have, but a lot of the,
No, this is,
Incidents
it's a good,
happen
it's a
in
good
small
idea.
communities.
It's, at least it's not a problem now. That's what I was wondering. You haven't seen it, but this is
But you never
looking
know.
forward preventatively. We're looking at it everywhere. My wife's the secretary at the Catholic Church. And we're looking there. We have nobody coming into the church we hope is bad, but I mean, you never know when you hear all the crazy stuff. So I think it's a good idea.
I've been doing all these security trainings and everything, so
Yes,
it's sort of like scaring me.
Would you tell me now here,
Sure.
explain how you're saying we have the funds? I
Okay.
tried to read your thing here.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It wasn't super clear. Sort
No,
of
no,
last minute.
sorry.
So I procured a grant of $5,000 that was through sort of elections. And I've certainly used some of that to get some new equipment and things for elections, but sort of in the middle it says grant funds remaining. I still have $2,400 in that grant fund. It does have to be spent by the end of the year, so I'm trying to press this through so that I can figure out how I'm spending it. So there's that amount of money. The next two line items are what I have remaining in my general account as well as my election account, because I haven't spent as much in my election account because I had this grant. So I have money between those two accounts to supplement the grant. The total cost right now, and obviously things
It'll
come up,
change. Yep.
looking at, and I did look into, what was the company you said you used? Lorex?
Yes.
And the prices were pretty similar, so I didn't do a separate graph for that. But I had gone to Ashfield Town Hall and met with their emergency management director, who showed me the ins and outs of everything in Ashfield Town Hall and their security systems. They have way more cameras, but I got to see sort of how it was connected and the functionality of this brand of camera, which I was pretty happy with, like the clarity of picture and the ease of use based on what he showed me. And my thought was having a NVR, something or other, video recorder. I'm now forgetting exactly what that means, but it's a unit that would be plugged in, which all the cameras would feed into, and that's holding the information. Depending on how much recording is happening, it's going to be a live stream, but it would record any movement that's happening. So if you have a lot of movement during the day, it's going to record less, but I was told an average would probably be around 30 days worth of footage that you could go and look back at. So the NVR being about $300, the cameras themselves are $130, $180, somewhere in that range each. And I already have a monitor, so if I had wanted a monitor with the footage up, I don't even have to pay for one. If anybody else wants one, they can certainly have one and get one connected. I didn't get a chance to talk to Kara, but it sounds like you can also just go onto on the website, sign in, and look at it that way. So you don't have to have an ongoing screen footage in your space.
I'm not that clear how this works. I mean, is there a monitor somewhere, or how does it work?
Well, that's what I was saying. I would like a monitor so that I have it on my desk faced away from the entrance, but I can just sort of look up and sort of see the activity. And anybody could have that, and it connects into the cameras. But otherwise, you'd have a browser. So if you're on your computer, you could just go onto the browser for that, and it also shows the live stream there. So you could have one that's focused just for that, or you could look at it on your computer that you're doing other things at. So each office could set it up however they were comfortable. I'm the only one that I know of right now that would like to have the monitor with the footage streaming.
What about when the town hall is closed?
It would be recorded in this NVR, and then in this browser and logging in. I don't know exactly how, but you'd log in and you could pull up the footage from particular cameras or particular times overnight if you realize something happened. So you could see activity throughout. And that's just, again, for the activity. It's not going to record everything. It's only going to record what is captured in the camera. So it's going to be little clips.
So you've got all the funds.
So I should have all the funds to buy the cameras and do the installation. Based on the company that I had spoken with. So the emergency management director in Ashfield works for a company, and they had done their install for free. But he currently does not have a license to install the cameras, but he's working on it. He knows somebody. I need to call him back again. I haven't talked to him for about a week. So that part would play a little bit into whether they would be good to use or not. But he had quoted that he'd be raising his price, but for municipalities in the past, he's charged $120 an hour, estimating about 18 hours worth of work, because a lot of it can go through the drop ceiling downstairs. So it could be less, certainly could be more too. So, you know, the hourly rate part probably has more fluctuation. But I have plenty of money to use because of this grant, even though I'd be taking it from, you know, part from the grant fund and part from my election fund, which I didn't use because I was using the grant fund. So I should be able to cover it. And if for any reason the price came in quite a bit more, we could always scale down and just have cameras on the exits and get the first step. And then, you know, if there's grants down the road or budget next year, whatever, it could be added on to. It's not a system that you can't add on to, so.
And we don't have to go out to bid for this.
You're well below the procurement
Thank you.
threshold.
I
Yeah,
think it's a
thank
great
you.
idea, especially, not very often we get an idea that's already
What is
paid for. I mean, in quotes, we have the funds for. How about,
So,
you know much about that, Donnie? I just don't want to put you on the spot about surveillance.
Oh, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's times when I come in and just come up here to work, and I've often, back in my mind, thought, well, I wonder if the town clerk is wondering who was going up the stairs, and I know people come and go and so
Yeah.
forth, but I did have that thought.
Well, thank you. I figured you guys deal with this stuff, the electronics, and I barely could use the remote to turn on the TV, so I leave it up to you guys, so. Yeah.
Is this, have you maybe even spoken with maybe like our electrician and see if it's something that they'd be willing to
Yeah.
install?
Yeah.
I haven't. I get the impression that they need to be licensed specifically. I could be wrong on this, but based on what Hilltown had said, he didn't have licensing to install security cameras or
imagine
something.
why,
But it might
but
just be because he was
I'm
IT
not-
and less
yeah.
electrician.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but certainly if
You
we
have to
had
be a
another-
licensed electrician, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you have to be licensed in surveillance, but.
I don't know enough about that
It was
part.
just a curiosity thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is our electrician currently? Or do
we work with a number of electricians.
So we have a number of
Yeah,
people. So
yeah.
I can get
I can certainly get you some contact information.
Any other questions?
Other than that, I mean, I'd fully support it. Have any of the other offices had any interest in wanting a camera in their office, or?
It doesn't sound like anyone else really was asking to have it, but nobody seemed to mind having
Yeah.
it. Not wanting it in their office specifically, but security for the building.
I mean, I think, like, probably even a big one would be maybe like the front part of Kara's office where her counter is, since she has money
Yeah.
kind of going through there.
Yep,
That's probably where people get most upset, other than Heather's office.
Well,
That's just you.
yeah.
No.
So similar to the last conversation we had about solar, if the board supports this and it's conceptual, then the staff will continue to work through the details. We just wanted to make sure that you were aware of and comfortable with us moving forward with this.
I think it's a very good idea, I really
Yeah.
do, yeah.
And-
In today's world, it is a
Yeah.
good world, a good
And
thing.
I think I was sort of mentioning the cameras, so if you have any other places that you would really like to see it, I can also try to get this in there too. But one camera up here that shows the space, a dome camera in the front entry and the back entry that show comings and goings, and it would also show people coming up the stairs, either way. And then 2 bullet cameras, probably in the same location, sort of at the corner where the shared office is, where the hallway does the zigzag. So one is showing sort of towards my office and one the other way, so that we can see basically the whole hallway. So that's what I was thinking to start at least, is those 5 cameras. I like the idea of the dome in the front entryway, being able to see the ballot box. But we could always add on more, or if you thought it would be good to have one outside, we could always put one outside, but I'm not sure people would be as excited about that.
Front and rear egresses, and then go from there, like your hallway, that's a good idea. You got a good idea going here, so
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm in favor.
Continue to march.
I'm in
Me to
favor,
do it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay.
Do you need us to vote on that, Heather?
No, I just really wanted to make sure that, that you were aware and that you supported it, so,
As we told Harvey, our blessings.
perfect.
That's all we have to offer.
That's right.
take it.
Well, we gotta give out his blessings
Well,
tonight.
I mean,
Boy,
so,
two for two
there
on
really
blessings.
isn't we're not asking you for an expenditure or
Sure,
anything
yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Once we start
like that
getting,
little caveat you
once
threw in
we
there.
start getting into real money, we'll be back.
But also to be clear, what I had, this package and using the NVR, it's not a monthly cost or anything like that. Obviously, there could be costs that come up for repairs, or if your driver dies and you need another one, but there's always gonna
It's
be
a
an
closed
extra one built
system.
up. But yes, exactly. So it's one and done until you need to do maintenance on it.
So this is strictly inside the building, not the outside?
At this point, yeah.
yeah, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia.
So I don't know if you wanted to stay so that you could be a part of the conversation about the cable.
Okay, sure.
I mean, if you have a couple of minutes. Is that next on your agenda?
I had liquor license renewals next, but I guess we could skip. What are we skipping to?
Way down on Falls Cable.
Yeah, for the
Falls
Falls
Cable
Cable
equipment.
discussions, we have
Okay.
the president of the board of directors
Yep.
and
So we'll be
town clerk.
moving into our agenda items. We'll take a little out of order tonight, and we're gonna start with the Falls Cable equipment upgrades and facility needs. The board of directors from Falls Cable is here to discuss the necessary requirements for upgrades to the camera equipment and system improvements needed, and to ask permission to repurpose the closet space in the select board office for permanent installation.
I've included in your packets, section 6 of our Comcast contract, that outlines what the town's obligations are, to provide the HD service and for the PEG access, which sort of leads us to this discussion, that we do have some contractual obligations, and we rely on the board of directors at Falls Cable to help us stay compliant with that contract. But Don certainly would have the details, and
All right. Hi, Don.
Hi, thank you, Clint. Boy, if it's just giving blessings and getting free fudge, maybe I should consider select board. We just had a wonderful.
This is a good day, Don, there are others.
Yeah. And we will probably ask for blessings. We're not going to ask for money, I don't think, are we?
No.
Nope. So, no.
Good night.
This is
Right.
Otis. As you
So
all know,
far.
This is Otis, who is, he is station manager for Falls Cable, as well as Bernston Northfield Community Television and Irving. So,
And an all-around good guy.
oh, yeah.
Busy guy.
Busy guy, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of update you guys, first of all, on the fiber and the HD, the whole contract renegotiation with Comcast. Took place last year, mainly with Heather and the Cable Advisory Committee. But Comcast installed fiber to Mohawk. It was almost there, so there was basically a last run, which Falls Cable paid for. It's about $7,300. So what that means is, in theory, if you subscribe to Comcast and you have the right cable box, you should be able to watch Falls Cable and these meetings live in HD for the first time on 1075. I can't currently confirm that because I can't see it at Mohawk because we don't have the right box yet. So I'm waiting for Comcast to bring that to us. But as far as I know, we're HD, and we're certainly digital. So that's why you see me with the laptop over here. We're going out live digitally for the first time tonight.
Now, if you've got the regular main box that's in most people's houses will have Comcast, not the small ones in your bedroom and stuff, but that covers everything.
Yeah, I really think it's maybe people. I know that Comcast has a plan that you have to ask for if you're
Yes.
lower income.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of think that probably those folks will only be able to get the standard definition, in which case it'll still be on channel 9. But for most people, anybody that's had anybody come in there in the last few years updating their box should be able to see it in HD. So what that means is we're now able to live stream to YouTube. So this meeting is going out live to YouTube. So that means you can get home, people can watch it now. And it also means that it's up on the website already. So there's no delay. So, any reporters covering it or anybody that wants to know what's happening, it'll be a lot easier for them to do that. So I wanted to give you guys that update, and it's going to be a process getting the word out that, these are things that you can do in the community now. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is I'd asked Heather if Falls Cable might be able to commandeer usage of this closet because, and that's a decision for you, I assume.
I don't know what's in it. I have no idea what's in it.
You're going to charge us rent, probably?
Well, my 99-and-a-half-year-old mother is now moved into my house, and I put a laundry on. She says, I was going to take a shower, and she's going to cold water. I said, you want hot water? It's going to cost more. But so she's going to pay the same rent you are for the closet. So.
What's in there?
So, I guess one of my first questions is, do we have our regular channel squared away now to where that should be
Yeah.
broadcasting live? Because
that's part of why I'm
that's-
here tonight, is
Okay.
because we've had the issues. And part of that has been confusion around switching the systems, because the systems change. But as far as I know, we're going out live right now. But one of the things that I'd like to do, one of the reasons I'd like to have a dedicated space is I'd like to have a TV in here that has so I'm looking at the live stream on YouTube on my laptop, and that is going out. It did drop at one point, and I got it back up. But we don't have a TV in here with Comcast. I think at some point we did, but I'd like to get that back so that whoever the operator is, whether it's Dana or myself or someone else, it's right in front of you, and you can see if the feed drops out, so we're not dependent on someone calling or coming down here or whatever. It'll just be right in front of our face. So yeah, that's one of the things I'd like to improve, and so that was my thought about if we could be in there. It would clean up a lot of things. We've got wires that are kind of going all around the room that I could run up through the drop ceiling and come down in there. And we could also do the same thing for the room in there, so that when you are in there, we're.
I was going to looking over this. We aren't using that per se. We don't need it. I mean,
Well, so,
better use.
so we,
Yeah.
as in Alicia, are currently storing some of the election equipment, some of the more sensitive election equipment. And I spoke with Alicia this morning. It was the first time that I had a chance to speak with her, but between the time that I met with Donna and Otis and sort of, got this conversation started. Clearly, we would have some work within the town hall to do to find adequate and appropriate space for her equipment. So it would be contingent upon myself, and I've already reached out to the boards and committees that have materials in the shared office space to do some house cleaning there, which would allow us to migrate non-sensitive, basically copy paper. Our vast reserve of recycled white paper for the copy machine takes up an inordinate amount of space in the vault area. If we could get that out and free up some space there, then and there's some other miscellaneous things that come out. Alicia would have that vault space for her election equipment. It will take some doing and some organization, but I don't think it's a bad process for us to work on either. That shared office space has been sort of a bone of contention as far as its organization for some time. So it would meet goals that we have within the town hall. It would meet, and I want to talk a little bit more about the quality of the product that I think we had discussed. I think having the ability to see the live feed on the TV, having dedicated space is all a great it's great, but I'd like to talk a little bit about what the impact to the viewers.
Yeah, so let me,
yeah,
right, so, and let me just jump back and say that
Yeah.
if you decide you can't do that, we'll still get a screen up so that we can monitor the live feed. We'll do that no matter what. But if we can have a little bit of a permanently dedicated space, then I think what we'd like to do is go to a robotic camera system. So we would mount one on one of the walls behind you, presumably, or could be a side wall. But anyway, opposite walls so that we'd have a more head-on view of the select board and the town administrator, and a better, more head-on view of the guests. Mm-hmm. It would be operated by a joystick or from the laptop. So wherever we were, we could adjust the view. So that would be, I think, a big improvement just in terms of, we're HD, let's get us into the 21st century and, make the program look aesthetically a little bit nicer. Already, just with going out digitally right now, I have lower thirds up that say the program and the date, and, I can put your names up, Harvey's name up, or what have you, agenda items, depending. So already I think that's a big improvement, but the robotic camera thing really probably wouldn't make sense unless we had a more dedicated space. But, if you do think that works, then that's the direction that I think Falls Cable would like to go in. That's what we've done in Northfield, Bernardston, Irvington to some degree.
I have a question. So the camera would be, the screen would be in there, the screen, the monitoring screen inside there. Would the door have to be open? Because I notice a lot of cold air coming in here.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Well, that's just because the kitchen doesn't have heat on tonight.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I'm curious.
I think the only other question I would have is, would it be strictly just an HD channel at that point? So then Channel 9 would no longer...
Right, so, if you read the fine print in the new contract, that's my understanding, is that Comcast has the right to deprecate that channel. Now, Bernardston and Northfield are 2 years ahead of you, I think, in the contract process, and maybe only a year, but a year or two, and Comcast has not taken away that channel yet. So it's a little bit unclear whether they're going to, but certainly that is something that they said at one point. You know, this is a trade. You're not getting an extra channel. You're trading. You know, so I am under the understanding that at some point they will take that away.
Okay. So even if we don't go with that, then we would just lose it altogether because
Probably
we
gonna
wouldn't have an
happen.
HD.
Probably going to happen at some point,
Yeah.
but, you know, I'm hopeful that they wait at least 5 years, you know,
Mhm.
something like that, when technologies, you know, continued to
Right.
change.
Yeah. I mean, they offer HD channels all the time now. Before, you had to pay big bucks to have the HD channel, the 800 numbers, you know, and that's the expensive package. But now it's on all of them now, actually.
That's the thing.
So, yeah. Yeah.
So that's about it. Yeah.
I'd like to just confirm that Alicia is okay with this, so that you're hearing it from her and not just from me.
She said,
I was gonna say, did she bully you into saying this, first off? If she did, just wink once.
she keeps saying, watch her eyes, she keeps saying, remember my cameras, remember my cameras. So, it's a quick pro.
If it's better for the town, for the people, or what we have to be doing, then it is what it is. I mean, if it doesn't have to take the whole closet away and I can keep some stuff, that would
Yeah.
certainly
I-
be better,
I don't think
but,
it's gonna take the whole closet.
so if that's
Yeah.
the case, then keeping some stuff upstairs, but Heather assured me that we'd find space for my things, so I think it'll be fine.
I really do think that a general housekeeping of the shared office space as well as the vault area has been something that Alicia and I have discussed ongoing. And this is a great motivator.
So what you're saying is the only person we have to feel bad for tonight is Jake.
Correct.
Okay.
And check and find out, if you said just the heats up or any cold air, we'll
No.
insulate some area or something, we'll do something, if that's all it takes, so.
Right.
Don't say anything about the meeting out there.
Oh, yeah, so, if we do move some equipment in there, obviously, we would still be able to roll this in there, but I think long-term, it would probably be Falls Cable's priority to also install 2 robotic cameras in that room. They'd be wired, the wiring would be different. We're not gonna go up through the ceiling, but they'd probably, you know, both be on this side of the room or something.
Right.
But we'd at least put a panel in the wall where we could plug in, something like that.
Which
that
would make
just
sense
makes it-
because we usually have, what, I'd say 3 to 4 meetings a year out there.
You have a few, and so, you know, it'd be good to be, you know, prepared in the long term, just to, again, to like, offer the best, you know, upgrade things in general commensurate to, now that we're sending out HD, let's upgrade
Right.
everything. Eventually, we'll upgrade the cameras as well.
Yeah, and I think doing that so that we stay up and running, then, you know, if they do
Yeah.
decide to take that channel away, it's gonna go at some point, so.
Right. I think what you may find is, what I've found in some of the other towns is, as people get used to watching the YouTube, a lot more people go over there. And so, you know, even, you know, some people who maybe don't have Comcast. So, you know, on the one hand, it's an extra thing to do, but hopefully it gets the program.
No,
out.
that would be, is that streaming?
Yep.
Okay, because I was gonna say, a lot of people around.
You are YouTube famous right now, Larry.
Thank you are.
So for people at home, what is the name of the YouTube channel?
It's Falls Cable.
Paul's Cable, okay, thank you.
And, yeah, so if you search for Falls Cable, you know, Buckland Select Board on YouTube, should come right up. The easiest thing to
Right.
do is, if you watch these meetings regularly, is subscribe to the channel, because then you get a little, you know, bell or notification or something if a live stream happens.
Does it
or-
have any cost?
No, no
Okay.
cost. No.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you guys can work with Heather and Alicia, I think we can certainly make that happen for you.
We did do the installs in Bernardston Town Hall in Northfield. Northfield has a separate room.
Yep, they gave us a closet with windows. What more could I ask for?
Well, you're not getting a closet with windows.
How about a door, how about a window and a door?
If you open the door, you get a window.
Listen, if that turns you on, you go ahead.
So great.
It sounds wonderful. Thank you. I think the citizens will appreciate it because
Trying.
they're looking for it to come here, yeah. Especially those snowy nights when she can stay home because it's going to work.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Do we know what channel that will be on for the HD channel?
It's supposed to be 1075.
1075.
Yep.
I think
Could I
Lynn,
have
Lynn, did you
clarity
wanna-
on that? So 1075 will be the HD channel, but channel 9 will be just a standard
Yeah.
Comcast black and white.
It'll be in color, but it'll be it'll look the same as it always has. I mean, actually, it'll be a little bit cleaner because it's digital, but
But at some point, Lynn, that's gonna be going away.
That's what I thought, in 5 or
Yes.
6
Yep.
years.
yeah, we don't know
Well,
when.
Maybe.
We don't
It
know.
could be next week.
Yeah.
It depends on when Comcast wants to take it away.
Thank you, because one of my notes here was, it's just a quick scratching here, that when it goes away, there are opportunities for low-income watchers to maybe apply. But there's a lot of people who don't want to go and apply for low income. It's a lot of paperwork, it's intrusive, wanting personal information.
Yeah.
And so I'm sorry to hear that that may happen.
Well, I think the trade-off is that from now on, you should be able to also watch the meetings on YouTube. So
I don't do
if you
YouTube.
don't do YouTube, yeah,
I'm digitally challenged, as well as
Yeah.
old.
yeah.
Well, if you have a computer, we could probably,
I'm always down here.
we
I
could-
didn't
You could-
realize to come
well,
here.
that's it. You could certainly come in, or we could maybe try to help you get it set up to where it's just a quick turn on your computer if you have one.
Do you have a laptop or a desktop?
I don't do anything.
You don't computer.
I stay away from them.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you're fighting the system, Lynn.
Yeah, I know, it's too old to change, I'm sorry to say that.
All right, well, thank you guys,
Thanks.
Thank you.
and
Really
good luck.
promising.
All right. We'll venture back to,
Oh, you have our blessings. You gotta make sure.
oh, yeah,
work blessings.
another blessing,
Work.
Yes.
more blessings.
We're handing out
All
blessings,
right.
gentlemen.
I
so
hope that's
you're
it
all
though,
set.
because
Blessings.
no more blessings tonight.
You're freezing time.
Lit.
That's right.
Until it's time to spend money,
Nope.
blessings are,
Nope.
blessings
Oh,
are good.
right.
Blessings are,
We-
blessings have been used up already.
We, yeah. Yep.
All right.
We'll have to make a waiting list for blessings after. Okay, back to that.
So we have our 2025 liquor license renewals.
Thank you, Don.
Do we want to go through all of them as one and just do one, or do we have to do a motion for each one?
Well, the only one that I would ask that you do separately is the one that
Yes.
we would have
Yeah, the
Joan
first one.
abstain from.
Okay.
The rest you can
Okay.
group into one.
Good.
Keep you out of trouble.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to renew a Farmer Brewing pouring permit to expose, keep for sale, and to sell malt beverages only to be drunk on the premise of Floodwater Brewing Company LLC, DBA Floodwater Brewing Company, for Zach Livingston, for the manager for calendar year 2025.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Joan abstain?
Approved, okay.
So, can I just,
You can let Lou, she said, just make the motion to approve by the individual places,
Yeah.
just list those. I think we
so
get by.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for license renewal for the Buckland Pizza House LLC. Why does Buckland Pizza have two on here?
It's different.
Oh, one's for outdoor only.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably do that one separate, because that's a new one. For an outdoor-only alteration of premises to include the area against the front of the building and to the right and left of the front stairs.
I second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. It says they're looking for outdoor alteration of premises.
So it's basically so they can serve outside.
Oh,
On those
Outdoor
tables.
dining.
it's still about serving. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Those tables straight up front. Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Make a motion to renew the restaurant license to expose for Buckland Pizza House. Also for Cafe Martin, the Blue Rock Restaurant and Bar, McCusker's Market, or the Franklin Community Cooperative Corporation.
Sure you
And
don't want to read these separately? Because they're all very different.
yeah, but it's just renewing all their licenses.
Okay, all right.
If you want me to, we can.
I don't know, should we do the motions?
It's at the board's pleasure, as long as at the end of the, if you wanted to do one motion, as long as it's understood by the select board that you're renewing
Okay,
all of the licenses as presented.
okay, that sounds,
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh, Shelburne Falls Neighbors and the Shelburne Falls Area 2758 Fraternal Order of Eagles. Make a motion to renew all licenses as listed.
Your turn.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Bearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Mary, you're good on all that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, our next agenda item is a property tax bill envelope stuffer. Heather, would you like to go into some detail on that?
Certainly. A few years ago, our treasurer collector came up with the idea that if we included in the property tax bill at the end of each calendar year a list of projects that were completed in the last 12 months and some of the progress that we've made that improves Buckland as a whole, that it won't take the sting out of the property tax bill, but
Has it worked?
it might make it might be helpful that residents see that we're working hard for them. So we started this tradition 3 years ago. This would be the third annual list of accomplishments for calendar year 2024. The Mass General Law requires that before anything is added to a property tax bill envelope, it has to be approved by that town's select board. So we bring it to you tonight for an actual vote, not a blessing, not a blessing,
Good, 'cause we're out of
but
blessings, so.
an actual vote that you approve that we include this document. And there might be some wordsmithing that we do, and we're certainly, well, you know, if you have any suggestions of items that we may have missed, we can certainly add those as well. But that you have in your packet is essentially what we would be including. And welcome your thoughts on it. And we aren't sending the bills out for another week or so. So there's still plenty of time if the board wanted to make their own additions. But if you could approve the insert as conceptually, we can take it from there.
That's a nice list. And I agree with you, as a taxpayer, you see your tax dollar doing something that is there, and
Yeah.
we see it with Depot Road, South Street, and everything
Yeah.
else, we see it.
Well, you see it twice a month because, more often than that. You know, I try to keep you as updated as possible, but at least at your select board meetings, you see what we're doing, but not everybody has that opportunity, and I think this is a nice way of sharing some of our successes.
That's
About
quite
the
a few.
sound system here at
quite
the
a few
town
there.
hall.
Yeah.
Well, we were just trying to keep it to a page.
Oh, okay, all right.
So,
How about passing a
There's a
five,
word limit, Joan.
oh, how about passing a $5.8 million budget without a Proposition 2.5?
yep, so we also sort of look at things that we
Concrete.
need to do as part of running the town as a municipality. Keeping your budget under levy, we consider a sort of a have to.
All right.
But yeah, can certainly
Well,
add
you don't
this
have to
sound
include
system.
that one, but there's enough space to say about the
Okay, yeah,
acoustics in
yeah,
there.
absolutely.
Joan wants it to be the full page.
We will, well,
You might want to make a little bit larger font, too.
okay. Good suggestions. Good
So
suggestions.
if you play with the font, you'll get your full page out of all
Yeah.
this.
Understood. Maybe more playing with the margins more than the font.
It's a great idea, it's a great idea.
I think it is, and I really appreciate that Kara brought it to, our attention, that this is
no.
a good way of
It is.
letting residents know that we're doing stuff.
As I said, I was worried about the taxes, now I got here and found out really how well our money is spent, and, sometimes like,
Right,
people say, I'm
right.
gonna become a select board, I'm gonna fight taxes, and then they come in and see all the stuff we've got. This is a nice way to show it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I completely agree.
Yep, no, I think it's been great. For people that, aren't tuning in every couple of Tuesdays or,
Or walking down, yes.
yeah, yeah. But for the people that are, on the go all the time, they have to stop and look at their property tax bill, so, it kind of gives them a quick minute and update on what we're doing with the town, so. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the addition of the 2024 Town of Buckland accomplishment.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have the Community Action of Pioneer Valley Food Pantry funding. This is a follow-up of conversation about options available to the town to address the letter sent by the Community Action of Pioneer Valley to the board about the future of the food pantry, which is located in the town of Shelburne. So we'll maybe let Heather dive into that a little bit more.
Sure. So, in probably the last 10 years, as you have done your community development block grant project applications, there's been a component of funds that have been allocated to the food pantry, which is run by the Community Action of Pioneer Valley. The food pantry is located in Shelburne. I believe it's
At the Cal Gym.
on Maple, is that Maple Street?
Yep.
Yeah, at the Cal Gym. It's open once a week. I know for a fact that it is well supported by the residents and is a important part of the community as a whole. Both Buckland and Shelburne have offered support through the Community Development Block Grant. Now that Buckland has transitioned its community development block grant applications from infrastructure projects to housing rehab, and the Franklin County Housing Association is managing our CDBG grant applications. There is not a component for the food pantry in this last round of funding that we received. And it is my expectation that there may be a year or two more in which we focus on housing rehab, which is also an important need in our community, and that those funds for the Community Action Food Pantry would not be available through that source. Shelburne has taken a similar approach and is not funding the Community Action Food Pantry program either. We received a letter from the food pantry to say that as a result of that funding source not being available, that they cannot see a way forward to continue to operate in the town of Shelburne and be available for the Buckland, Shelburne, and its neighboring communities. It's obviously not, it was not an unintended consequence when we all made the decision to transition our funding initiatives, but we also know that a lot of residents rely on that, and we don't want to see that go away. To further complicate matters, there is a Mass General Law that prohibits communities, municipalities, from making appropriations, from using tax dollars to fund nonprofits. So you really can't make a decision to generate funds, to appropriate funds in your budget that then would go to the food pantry. The way that we worked around it before was that we were using CDBG grant funds. So what to do, right? I mean, what to do? There is a fund that that the town has. It's one of our special revenue funds, which means it is a it's not a fund that gets appropriated through the general budget, not approved at town meeting. It is a source of funds that comes back to the town through housing rehab projects that we did probably 20 years ago. And once a property is sold, there's a portion of those funds that comes back to the town. It's called program income. Right. And we have been accruing that program income for some time. We did use a little bit of it during the pandemic. We did some community development loans and grants for local businesses to help them out through the pandemic period. And that was considered compliant with the MGL, and we were allowed to use those funds. I would recommend that the town consider using a portion of those funds in the short term, but my concern would be that we aren't really solving the problem because those funds would, they're finite. Once they're gone, they're gone. I'm sure we'll have other needs that come up.
How much is in that?
There's about $90,000 in that account right now. We had talked about using some of the money to offset the housing rehabilitation program that's working through Franklin County Housing Authority right now, that if they get an applicant and their project exceeds the amount of funds available through the grant, that the town would have these funds available to help supplement that. In addition, we know that we have some housing needs of our own that we may want to look at, and having some seed and some starter funds for low income and moderate income housing projects might be something that we want to save that money for. All of this is to say, I'd like to hear from you as to whether or not you are interested in me pursuing a way to allocate or reallocate a portion of those funds for the FY26 fiscal year to support community action, or if you're not, that is okay too. And then what do you want to do beyond FY '26? And none of this has to be necessarily answered tonight. I just would like to think about how we can respond to their letter, how we can respond to the citizens that use that food pantry in a meaningful but still fiscally conservative and appropriate way.
So I guess my first comment on that would be, it sounds like the community action has not been seeking their own grant funding over the years, and they've basically been using Buckland and Shelburne to run that food pantry with the money that we've been giving them through CDBG money.
They do have additional funds that they receive through other grants and other programming. But I think you are correct in saying that the majority of the funds that they may be using have been coming from Buckland and Shelburne, which is why they're not sustainable without the funds from Buckland and Shelburne. So it's not 100% Buckland and Shelburne grant funds, but enough that puts them out of business.
Right.
Well, doesn't it say funding from both communities totals $50,000, approximately 15% of the entire program budget?
So they have a,
Oh, the one in.
they have other, they have one in Northampton as well,
Okay.
so.
Okay. And, all right. So do you know what our neighbors across the river, or what they're planning to do?
They've had similar conversations. They have not, to my knowledge, come up with a specific plan. I know that they are interested to hear what you're going to do. Yeah, I think that there's certainly a sense that we want to keep the food pantry open. How we do it, with what funds, and for how long. I think that might be the bigger question is can we work with community action on a transition plan that keeps their doors open long enough for them to find new funding sources? And what is that commitment that they would make back to the town, that they would keep their doors open with new funding sources?
And I think that's, I know the food pantry here has been very well received.
Absolutely.
I know there's a lot of people in both communities that really do utilize that and rely on that. And I would hate to see that go away. And I think anything that we can do to try to keep it is certainly in the best interest of the town. But again, at some point, our funding is going to be gone to where we're not going to be able to give anymore. So I think I think what I would like to see, not speaking for the two of you, but I would like to see what if we were to help them out over the next couple of years, what's their goal, in trying to find that supplemental funding. Because I think for the next couple of years, giving them 2 years of extra funding, I'd be okay with, as long as there's a plan moving forward.
So I have a question. So other communities don't contribute? And it says West County, it doesn't say, Buckland Shelburne Food Pantry.
Yeah.
They don't contribute, like Coleraine or Charlemont?
I don't believe that they have, I don't believe that they have used their community development block grant funding in the same way that Buckland and Shelburne has.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they contribute in other ways, I can't say, but I don't believe it's been to the extent that Buckland and Shelburne have. And I also would like to offer that I don't know that we would be able to match the same level of funding
Right.
that we have been
Right. I
able
was
to
just thinking of
match
that.
Right.
in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We have really tried, you know, as you know, whenever we've had additional funds left over at the end of a grant, that's the first place that we look to deposit those funds. So we have really sort of, in addition to the original amount that we would have given, we've always tried to supplement at the end as well. So I would just be mindful that,
I agree.
you know,
So we should be thinking about maybe that one initial, and that's it. We can't,
Yeah.
maybe try for 2 years, but we have to have a resolution from them sometime. This can't continue. I don't think we can.
well, I think that what I would like to do is, you know, you tell me how you would like to proceed. I can speak with Terry and Shelburne and see where they're at, and then maybe we have a meeting, you know, a representative from each select board, and Terry and myself sit down with somebody from Community Action and maybe have this conversation
Yeah.
in a more, you know, confined setting where we can talk about transition plan and what that looks like.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, I think that would be,
That sounds like a
I
plan.
think that would be the best way at this point, is to find out, you know, because I mean, if they're not on board for doing any of that, you know, like Larry said, you know, we can only sustain probably 1, maybe 2 more years of, you know,
Some funding.
some funding. And if that some funding isn't even gonna be enough for them to be able to keep their doors open,
Exactly.
you know, and if they're not looking into another plan of action, then,
Yeah.
you know, I'd hate to, I don't really want to say waste money, because it's not a waste of money, but it's money that we can reallocate into other areas, you know, for low-income housing, and things like that. So it's certainly, you know, money that the town can utilize in other areas.
I'd like to know
Well-
what would be the minimum that they would need to
Right.
keep the
Yeah,
pantry
yeah.
going.
I agree with you, for just a couple of years,
Yeah.
but I really have to, I don't want to let our people down to use it.
Right.
We wouldn't be letting them down, we'd be saying to them, you know, I mean, it has to be something about the writing on the wall, as they say, you know.
Yeah.
No, I think it's an
So,
important resource.
I mean, I think breaking it down and getting,
Yeah.
you know, getting us in Shelburne and the Community Health Center into the same room, to kind of hash out a plan.
Right.
I think that both boards over the years have been committed to maintaining, I mean, that the community development block grant, as we've learned over the years, there's only so many projects
You know, like
are eligible, but those projects can be very expensive, and not all communities even maintain a few dollars for a social service.
Right.
And the fact that Buckland and Shelburne have made that a priority for as many years as you have is really a testament to how you feel about that, making sure that that option is available to your residents, and I commend you for that. Again, it is not normal, or it's not every community that receives a community development block grant that makes that a priority. But that being said, you know, we have other needs.
Is this something, like say if we were to, for our next round of CDBG funding, if we're gonna roll that into housing, is it something that we could ask to keep a portion out for that?
So that would be a conversation that you would have to have with your administrator. Who, you know, in recent years, we've worked with Breezeway Farm, Linda Overing, and again, that has been part of our funding model, that has been a part of our application model, is to take one infrastructure project and then include a portion for the community pioneer, for the community action of Pioneer Valley. Now that Linda has stepped away from that and we're working with the housing authority, that would be part of that contract and that negotiation. I'm not saying yes or no. It would really be whether or not the housing authority would agree to put the application together, knowing that the town wanted money set aside for the food pantry. They may say that their emphasis is housing, and as the administrators of that money on our behalf, that they only will be administering funds for housing.
I guess we don't
Yeah.
know until we
Right.
ask,
So,
right?
and you know, if, I very
I
much
want to say we
think-
actually asked about that
Yeah,
when we had them in
yeah.
here.
Well, for sure, the answer, when we talked about it,
Right.
was that no, they wanted to be able to use the money. And it is a large enough program that the town really does need a fiscal manager, and I'm grateful that the Housing Authority stepped up to be able to do it. Without them being involved, we would not be able to do the programming.
Oh, yeah, no,
So-
I have no quorums on
Yeah,
how they're
Right,
managing
right.
it or anything else. I'm just wondering
Yeah.
if that might be something that they'd be willing to look at in the future.
yeah. And we can also look at, there are other consultants and grant administrators that you can work with. You know, I mean, the Housing Authority stepped up and offered a
Yep.
fantastic asset. I think that Buckland has, I don't know how many projects they've enrolled for Buckland residents, but I know that we're the lead community and we'll certainly see a significant benefit from participating. But, yeah.
Well, the kind of repairs they do are essential to people to live well.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're all
Yep.
close.
Okay. So, yeah, I think,
Need more information.
yeah, I think I would like to see some more information on it, and I think by getting that is gonna be
Definitely.
by kind of getting all of us together to have that conversation.
Okay.
Um,
So the first step is to let Shelburne know that we are looking to partner with them and to see what options they have, and then if they are willing, then invite them for a sit-down with the community action group and go from there.
Yeah.
If Shelburne is not able to participate, this is where the question gets hard. I don't know, knowing that it isn't as easy as appropriating money, because there's the MGL that prevents from that. And I don't know what they have for other available
Right.
funds. If they're not able to participate,
Yeah, I mean, it may not even be feasible, you know, because
So,
if
but
we're
I
the only
guess-
ones, then, you know,
It's a
we
moot point,
certainly.
yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it would be.
Yeah, that's the answer
Yeah.
that I needed, okay,
It would be.
Yep. Okay,
thank you.
all right. Good for that.
Yeah, that was not a blessing.
No, that's for sure.
All right, so we'll move into our documents to sign. We have the transfer station inspection report, which I believe went very well, Heather.
It sure did. I believe this is the first clean inspection report, and the only item that we were dinged on is that we need more Band-Aids in the first aid kit.
Wow.
So I will take that as a win.
Wow.
Have we been brought up to snuff with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We are bursting at the seams
All right.
with
Oh,
Band-Aids.
good, because I was gonna buy you a box if they didn't have
And
it,
who
so.
do we credit for this great report?
I think it's a collective effort. I know that facilities and highway are up there on a regular basis, lending support to Medi and to our new assistant operator, who is Chris. I know, it's great, there's great pictures, you know. But anyways, it's a good report. If you vote to approve it and it's signed, a copy goes to Mass DEP and then a copy to the Board of Health. And we are compliant for another year.
Excellent. Even a good picture of Medi.
Even a
Yes,
great
yes,
picture of that.
yes. And this truck too goes the back.
So two quick segues with this item. One is that the landfill testing has been completed. We are required by law to have our groundwater tested. We have some testing wells associated with the landfill, and we have a company that comes in and does that testing. We, for the second year in a row, have exceeded the allowable levels. Fortunately, the levels are not high enough that requires any remediation, but we are acknowledging that. You have a copy of that or at least the cover letter of that report. The full report is 138 pages, and I posted it to the website. That will also be filed with Mass DEP.
And you don't have to put it all in the notes.
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank God.
That's right.
But
Could we request it, though?
It's getting late, we can tell.
And the last item, this would have been under my town administrator's report, but while we're talking transfer station, I just want to thank residents for coming in early and getting their transfer sticker decals. Pam has been that is, I think, all she's been working on this week. As you know, starting January 1st, access to the transfer station will be limited to those who have a decal on their vehicles. The decals are $20 annually and $5 for a second vehicle registered at the same home address. The applications are online. You can actually fill there's a Unibank payment option, so you can do the whole thing online if that's your preferred. You'll pick up your decal at the transfer station, or you can come into Town Hall, as the majority of people have been doing, and take care of it here. There's been minimal grumbling.
Right, exactly.
Minimal
I
grumbling.
didn't think it was gonna
We
be.
really anticipated maximum grumbling, but we've been really. It's been Pam and Kara seeing people they haven't seen in years. It's been very busy.
Yeah. Well, it's
It's
hard
very-
because
Right.
the cost is only going up. And,
But it's happened in every town around us. I think
Yep.
that's the thing too. And anybody logically is gonna realize that that's what's happening at everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think right now, I think we're on the lower end of the spectrum.
Yes, you may be right.
When it comes to, the charges that we have.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some cities and towns that are, for their yearly sticker, they're charging upwards of around $100.
Right. I
But
believe
that's-
Ashfield's 85.
Yeah, so,
So for $20, you get to use our transfer station, say hi to Meddy and Chris, and you get
and that is just for the decal for
that is just for the
the
decal.
vehicle.
And you're
There's
still
still
gonna have
the.
$2 a bag, which is
Yeah.
no problem, or a sticker,
Yep.
yeah.
So we can cross that off my town administrator's
There you go.
report.
Okay.
Shorten that up a little bit.
Got a motion on
All
that?
right, I'll make a motion to approve and sign the 2024 Transfer Station Inspection Report. That will be shared with the Buckland Board of Health and Department of Environmental Protection. You spelled environmental wrong, Heather. As required by Mass General Law. There were no violations found during this inspection other than not having enough Band-Aids.
Keep going.
The town also recently completed the annual landfill groundwater testing. and results indicated we have exceeded DEP standards, but not by enough to warrant retesting and/or remediation. Those reports are on file with DEP as well.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, fiscal year '23 Community Development Block Grant for A. Martin's. This is a contract change order. This change order and project closeout form capture several changes to the contract the town has with A. Martin's for the CDBG Freight Yard and Depot Street Improvement Project. I'll make a motion to approve change order number 2 in the amount of $15,796.71 to the town's contract with A. Martin's and Sons for the Depot Street and Freight Yard parking lot, and to execute the certificates of substantial and final completion as recommended by project engineer GCG Associates.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The Buckland Historic Commission Grant Letter of Support. Dave Perella is seeking support for a grant that the Buckland Historical Society is applying for, another grant from the Massachusetts Cultural Council for money to finish the barn project on the Wilder Homestead. I'll make a motion to authorize the chair to sign the letter of support.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? This the final phase for them, Heather? For the barn?
I hope so,
Yeah, yes, yes.
Coming right along, it looks good.
Yeah,
but it's no longer historical.
Well. No,
No, it can't be.
Yeah.
They wouldn't take something down to the ground, but
That's right.
I'm not gonna argue with
they
you.
used old trees though. later.
Oh, boy. Yes, ma'am. Sir.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
You ready? Aye. Letter of appreciation to J.S. Ray. J.S. Ray and his team stepped in and completed the site work for the Buckland Salt and Sand Shed, and did so at no cost to the town. Although we intended to complete this work ourselves, we were running out of good weather as well as facing a more complex project than what we originally thought. If J.S. Ray had not helped us out, we would have had significant time delay and would likely have needed to seek additional funds from town meeting to complete the project. To say they saved the day would be an understatement. The select board would like to send a letter of appreciation to Joe and his crew and authorize the town administrator to draft a letter which can be signed by the chair. I'll make a motion to allow the town administrator and the chair to do such.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's such a cool salt shed. It looks like you could have concerts in there.
Yeah.
it does look good.
Have you gone in there and sang a
I
show
have,
tune?
I have.
Is that what I
If-
heard?
Is there
yesterday?
If I'm not in my office, check there.
Thought I heard some bellowing coming from the woods.
That'd be a great place for town meeting. You could hear everything.
That's a great idea.
Do we know if we're going to be able to possibly get the paving done in there?
I don't have an answer for that right now.
All right.
I
That's
have,
what we're
I have,
waiting on, though,
I
to
have
be able to
not,
utilize
I
it.
have not given up hope.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
You don't.
Yep.
You don't. Mother Nature has definitely,
Until the plants finally close their doors,
right,
then we'll know.
then we'll know.
What's the ground surface? Is it
Asphalt.
asphalt? Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's the last
Yeah.
piece of the puzzle that we're waiting on to be able to utilize it.
It wasn't what I expected at all. It's great.
It's bigger than I expected.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
what's interesting is that the cost of this all in will be about less than $300,000. The actual, the purchase of the covering, of the dome covering and the installation was $150,000. And then you have the cement blocks, you have the site work, which thankfully we had done gratis, and cost of the asphalt, and then the engineering. I mean, it really has been a very very cost-effective project for the town. No borrowing.
Much needed.
Yeah, no borrowing, all done under the,
Our other salt shed is certainly
Not
seen
good.
better days.
not good.
And another building we can sell.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah.
All right. And a letter of advocacy for the Mohawk Trail Regional School District and vocational transportation. The Mohawk Trail Regional School Committee is requesting the endorsement of a letter of advocacy for a change in school busing transportation policy and regulations. Rural towns like Buckland face overwhelming costs in comparison to communities closer to Boston to transport students to and from school between a lack of competition and the number of miles the buses must travel. I would make a motion to authorize the chair to sign the letter of advocacy, which will be sent to Governor Healy and the Department of Education and our legislators.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have one town hall use permit for the Deerfield River Wild and Scenic Committee. That is for December 18th, from 4:45 to 7 p.m. Buckland is a member of the committee and a co-applicant for the study of the suitability of the wild and scenic status. I'll make a motion to approve the town hall use permit for the Deerfield River Wild and Scenic Committee.
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Finally, the last page. God, Heather, you're killing us.
It's your last meeting of the year. I have a few items for
Holding
you.
you to that. We have our minutes from November 26th. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as prepared from November 26th, 2024.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great job, Mary, thank you.
As usual, yeah.
We
After I
have,
sent you the right one.
I wasn't gonna say anything. We have our vendor and payroll warrants for 2513. I'll make a motion to approve both vendor and payroll warrants.
I second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Items not reasonably anticipated by chair 48 hours in advance. I do have one. The town has the chance to collaborate with the FERCog and Mass DOT to apply for a National Scenic Byways Program to fund renovations to the rear of the town hall to create public access to our existing bathroom, to give us our village public restroom
Yay.
that everybody has been clamoring
I've
over.
never brought it up once. That's very nice. That's good to
That's
hear.
great.
Yeah, so this is something that Heather and I were discussing yesterday.
When
About-
would it be available? Is there gonna be like a time that it's not, like middle of the night or?
You're way ahead of things.
We're not even
Oh,
there yet.
okay. all
We're
right,
way
all right,
ahead.
okay, all right.
There will not be a
Yeah.
camera in it, so you're okay.
Thanks, Larry.
Well, good point, good point. We've got to have cameras everywhere else. No, on Friday, I received a call at home from FERCog that they became aware, sort of last minute, of this grant opportunity. They thought about Buckland and our need for a village bathroom. the grant is due on the 16th. It is submitted through Mass DOT, so it's very time sensitive, so I do apologize that it wasn't on your agenda, but Clint was able to speak with the grant writer at FERCog and talk about what would make the most sense, and we think that rather than putting a standalone bathroom that would take away from parking out back of the
Yeah.
town hall, that doing building modifications seems to make the most sense. So we've got a few hurdles to clear, but we'll submit the application, and I just need a letter of support from the board, and I haven't written it yet, and
That's great. Do you need all of us?
You
to
have
sign
our
it?
blessings.
Yes, right.
yeah, Clint's signature would be
Okay,
would be
that'll do it,
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Good, very good.
So I'll make a motion to allow the chair to sign a letter of support for the FERCog and Mass DOT for the National Scenic Byways Program.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's the only thing I had under the 48 hours. Select board member concerns.
None?
Nothing, Joan?
No.
No meetings to update us on?
Well, I did go to, no, did I talk about the last meeting, the
I think the one that,
rural
yes,
downtown
yeah.
district?
Yes, yeah.
Yep, that one you did talk about it.
Okay, well, that's the only meeting I've been
Okay.
to.
Well, we're gonna have to get on that. Get you some more meetings.
But I do really like that salt shed, I'll tell ya.
All right. Town administrator report.
In your packets, you have a couple of extra documents that I'll include in my report. One is a letter from the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife with a map of a parcel in Buckland that is currently under 61A, and any others in 61B. Those are both agricultural exemptions, which allows for the property owner to pay a much lower tax rate because they are agricultural. We will see, the letter that we've received is basically a notification from the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife that they are taking ownership of that property, and it would become state-owned land. It would be added to our existing state-owned land in inventory, which they pay a pilot for. It is a pittance of a pilot, but it is some income. The current taxes that we receive on these two parcels is $463 a year, so it's not an exceptional amount of money that we're taking off the tax roll, but I don't know that the state will pay the same amount in the pilot. I will keep an eye on it. But this does mean that there's a conservation restriction on this property, and it will not be developed. And it looks like it'll be like, the access would be the same for other state-owned parcels, which means residents would have access to it, is what we're assuming. But I've got to call in for more information, and I'll keep the Open Space Committee updated as to what I learn about that.
What kind of access would they have to it?
Well, that's what I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're making the assumption that, like the state forest, you know, there would be access. It's up off Pleasant Brook.
Okay.
So more information to come on this, but that's what that letter and map mean.
Is the whole 157 acres in town?
Huh?
Is the whole 157 acres is in Buckland?
Yes. The letter is incorrect. The letter says that it's partially in Buckland, but all of the property is within Buckland's boundaries. It might be a zip code issue.
Oh, okay.
Shocker.
Shocker. So the town of Buckland, when we went out to borrow money to build the highway garage facility, we had worked with S&P Global for a bond rating. At the time that we had never had a bond rating prior to that because we had never borrowed so much money. But we received a AA bond rating at the time, which allowed us to get a very good interest rate on that borrowing. S&P has done a review of the towns, or actually, let me take that back. They have changed their criteria of how they do their bond ratings, particular to towns of less than 5,000 residents. They did a review of our community and have made a determination to lower our bond rating from a AA to a AA minus. And that is solely as a result of us having less than 5,000 people in our town, for no other reason. We received their draft letter. You have it in your packets, and once it's becomes a non-draft, I will post it to the website, because I think it's more positive than it is negative. They are saying that we are doing everything right, that our reserves are good, that our financial practices are good, that our budget is conservative. We are doing all the things right. And that, I think, is we just don't have 5,000 people that live here.
Yeah.
So if everybody wants to bring one friend to move to Buckland, we will be in much better shape from our S&P rating. Important to note that this does not impact any of our current borrowing. Those rates are fixed. It would only impact any future borrowing, and we have no intention of doing borrowing in the immediate future. So very little impact, but certainly a wonderful reassurance
Sounds good,
for yourselves, for the finance committee, and obviously the staff, that we need to keep doing what we're doing because we're doing it well. So
we're penalized because we're a small town.
that's the only, if you read this letter, it's
I read
yeah,
it
I mean,
over twice.
it's like, come on.
So are there 5,000 people live in the town, on Nantucket?
Yes,
There more than 5,000
Yes.
full-time people?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was just curious.
yeah. Parking ban. A reminder that there is no overnight parking from December 1st until March 31st. Our highway crew cannot and will not be able to keep your streets clean and safe if they can't get to it. You parking on the street does not help. So we implore you to please park in your driveways, find an alternative place. You can park overnight in one of the town lots. You just have to be out of that town lot by 8 o'clock in the morning. We do have some habitual residents that continue to park in the parking lots past 8 a.m. and all day. Again, it makes it very difficult for our crew to clear that snow. We have not started our towing or ticketing, but it's coming. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in the two-town news.
okay. Well, it's an annual parking ban. I mean, yes, please do. It's just very frustrating to know that the same streets and the same spots year after year. On a good note, our wastewater treatment assistant operator has taken his grade 4 test, has passed it, and is in line to become our chief operator, which means we would be compliant with our permit, and
Dan
way
can
more
finally
importantly, Dan can finally really retire.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, retire as much as he wants
Yes.
to. He would no longer be obligated. He can truly be the on-call guy.
Go back to Hawaii.
Yes, exactly. So what I would request is that at the beginning of your January 14th meeting, that we have a brief sewer commissioners meeting. I'm meeting with the entire wastewater staff at the end of this week to talk about a transition plan and what that all looks like, and I would bring that to you for your approval at your January meeting.
You want to reach out to Shelburne and see if they want to join in on that?
I certainly can. It's a staffing issue, and they're yours, but if you would like me to include, I'm happy to do so.
I mean, maybe if they want to meet at some point.
Yeah, yeah. That's just, it's great news.
Yeah.
We've definitely turned a corner. And then lastly, holiday hours. We have worked through everybody's holiday schedules here at Town Hall. I think the only time that Town Hall will not be open will be Tuesday afternoon. That's Thanksgiving, I wish. That's Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve day, we'll be closing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon instead of 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But we'll be open the rest of the regular hours. It's the best I could do.
So you're going to be open on Christmas?
Well, Christmas is a holiday.
I'm just, you said you were only going to be closed Tuesday afternoon.
What about Boxing Day? You're gonna be open for Boxing Day?
We'll be here Thursday, yes.
Mr. Cratchit, will you make up those hours?
I know. So to be clear, we'll be closed at 1 o'clock on the 24th, all day on the 25th,
Good.
and also all day on the 1st.
You had this discussion earlier, Heather. It's all in the wording.
I know it is. I know it is. I consistently let you down.
Could have met at 5 o'clock tonight. It
Oh
was
my
all in the wording.
heavens! Oh my heavens! Does anybody have any questions that I didn't connect with on that report?
Nope.
Okay.
That's it? like
I
it.
could
The
I
laptop
could go
closed.
on all day, but
We're done. All right, public comment.
Yes, please.
Ms. Kelsey.
Well, thank you. Quick question. The overnight parking, could you give me a little more clarity on it? Because I parked on the road a couple nights ago. So is it 24/7?
overnight.
Just overnight?
Yeah.
What do you consider overnight, or what is it?
The hours are on the website. I'm sorry, Lynn, I don't have, give me 1 second and I will read the parking ban for anybody that has questions. Parking ban for the winter will be in effect December 1st through March 31st. No overnight parking on any town street, roadway, or sidewalk will be allowed between the hours of 12 midnight and 6 a.m. The Highway Department will remove any vehicle that interferes with such work. The only exception will be emergency vehicles in performance of emergency work. Overnight municipal parking is available in designated town lots, that's A, B, and C lot. There will be no parking allowed in these lots from 8 a.m. to 12 noon after the precipitation has fallen and the streets have been cleared. Plowing and sanding is necessary to clean that lot. So, again, any vehicle left in that parking area after 8 a.m. will be subject to fines and towing.
Thank you. My other question, or let me see, what is it? Oh, it's about the town garage. I live across the gully from the town garage, the main building, the offices. And over the winter months, I've often noticed throughout the years that it seems during the weekend there is much, I'm not sure if it's a mist or exhaust or whatever coming out of the side pipes of the building. I thought it might have something to do with the heating that's going on. So I was wondering if they put the heat down during weekends, unless there's a storm, where the crew would have to be in and be warm when they go inside. If the temperatures are regulated to shut it down to a lower temperature on weekends?
It is scheduled just like this building. When the hours and off hours, it is reduced. Not as much as probably here because they are in and out, especially this time of year. But yeah, it is set to a schedule.
I wouldn't have thought of that without the earlier discussion of
Solar,
the solar.
yes.
And-
Yeah, and the other thing is that building is not heated by, well, there's electrical use, but the building itself is heated by propane.
And final question is food pantry. Coraine, I think Charlemont still does a food pantry. Is that for seniors or is that for anyone who qualifies? I'm not even sure I know the parameters of a food
No,
pantry.
it's for anybody.
You could be a millionaire and walk in and just
You could,
get fresh vegetables?
yep, you could.
And are you?
A millionaire?
I'm not either.
Good answer.
Okay. Any other public comment? All right. Announcements and upcoming meetings. I think our next select board meeting is
January 14th.
January 14th. Wow, we got an extended holiday too. All right. At 5:30?
It's your meeting schedule. Your meeting schedule. If you want to change your meeting times to 5 o'clock for the 2025 calendar year, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you get home earlier that way.
Yeah. I have the longest of the drives. I just think it's important that we try to be as consistent as possible.
Yep. Well, do any other board members have any qualms with starting the new year off a little bit early?
No, not at
No
all.
qualms at all.
I'm very flexible.
Yeah, mine is just
Okay.
work related, but most
Falls.
times I think I can do 5 o'clock, so.
Falls Cable? Okay. Lynn?
It's unanimous.
Mary? Okay,
Thank you.
all right. So, our first meeting in January will be at 5 PM.
Okay.
Sorry, Mary. I'm going to pay for that later, aren't I? Yes, I am.
All right, with nothing else, I would make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
All right. All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Thank you, and have a good evening, and happy holiday.